Hard of face and obstinate of heart are they to whom I am sending you. These words are God's message to Ezekiel in our first reading this Sunday. They're very informative about the challenges that prophets face. Ezekiel, writing at the time of the exile, faces an uphill battle. But prophets in every age face an uphill battle, even in our own age. As we mentioned here several times before, part of our baptismal call as Christians is to participate in the prophetic office of Christ. In other words, we must give voice to God's words in our world. And as noble of a calling as this is, and as great of an honor as this is, it's not an easy calling. We will face resistance. We may be insulted or confronted. But these are not the only kinds of challenges we face. Perhaps worse than these are those who simply ignore our message. At least those who are combative have heard us, at least in part. One of the greatest challenges in sharing the gospel today is the prevailing culture of apathy. There are so many out there who do not necessarily explicitly reject the gospel, but simply don't care. The appropriate response and strategy has at least a couple elements. The first is that we have to strive to provide others with a living encounter with Christ. That means that we have to be open and docile enough to allow God to speak through us. And this, of course, takes a lot of practice and constant self-examination so that we check that tendency that we have to proclaim ourselves rather than Christ. Now, the second part of this is that we have to constantly be ready to share why the gospel matters to us, to explain the difference it makes in our lives, and not necessarily in elevated, pious language, but rather in everyday speech, which is accessible to the most apathetic heart. Through it all, we should not let the apathy we face dissuade us from the great calling that we're given. Ezekiel is told up front that this is not going to be easy, but it is the path that he's called to. And so it is with us. Sharing the gospel in today's culture of indifference is not easy, but it is what we're called to do. And like Ezekiel, God gives us the grace and the strength to do it.